How can a piece of content be so largely meaningless and self-nullifying, and yet still contain some of the most nonsensical writing in the entire Danganronpa franchise? Before we get started, a quick disclaimer. In this video, you are going to hear audio from the English fan dub of this episode. The criticisms that I will be making are targeted at the writing, not the voice acting. This is a genuinely incredible fan dub, and I don't want anyone to think that I'm criticizing their work. I'm not even slightly. They did an absolutely phenomenal job with this fan dub, and I want to make that crystal clear before I tear this pile of cognitive sewage to pieces. Let's begin, shall we? Danganronpa 2.5 opens with Nagito Kamaeda walking to school talking about how much of a worthless nobody he is before being body checked by Sayaka into oncoming traffic, and then subsequently catapulted halfway across the planet and crash landing into a nearby tree, just in time to catch a cat falling to its death from the branches in the tree, who then proceeds to scratch the hell out of Nagito's face as a result? I'm sorry, what? The first 60 seconds? Really? So, aside from the fact that Sayaka is able to speak fluently with a piece of toast in her mouth. I'm gonna be late! Aside from the fact that Sayaka has full view of the world in front of her and yet somehow still didn't see Nagito until she was literally about to crash into him. Aside from the fact that Nagito is launched in this direction despite being hit coming from this direction, because this show doesn't understand physics. And aside from the fact that Nagito should be very dead right now, your one consistent character trait is that you're just the gosh darn luckiest son of a bitch on the planet. Yet within the past 15 seconds, you've been body slammed by a car and had your face scratched to hell by a cat. And I'd like to remind everybody that Nagito's luck was the sole reason why Chapter 5 of Danganronpa 2 was even able to happen in the first place. Yet now he's unlucky? We just started, how can there already be a problem? After a quick title card, Sayaka recovers from potentially murdering Nagito, and Makoto shows up to help her get back on her feet. Then we get the Phineas Land scene where Sayaka disappears into a dream world and falls in love with Makoto. I guess. Have you guys not known each other for a while? Is this the first time you're meeting? Why? Also, I like how they both just fucking ignore Nagito as he walks by with his face scratched to hell, which is hilarious. We then get a wide shot of everybody who will be attending Hope's Peak Academy, including some familiar faces such as Ibuki, and some new people such as Pikachu. Kazuichi tells Nagito to go to the nurse's office, presumably so he can see what the nurse looks like given how he acted in the second game, and then it's time for class. We see all the characters from the second game doing their own thing in line with their personalities. Hiyoko and Mahiro are chatting up a storm like the best friends they are. Ibuki is stroking her guitar strings. Akane is trying to kill herself. Tanaka is brooding, and Teruteru is... Hey, maybe he's just admiring the fact that gravity has no effect on her skirt in this shot. I certainly hope there aren't any later scenes that seem to forget how gravity works. So then Nagito shows up to class and he's all bandaged up, which surprises everyone for some reason, as if they've never seen bandages before. And it is revealed that Mikan is a school nurse. Wait, what? You have one of your students acting as the school nurse? Why would you ever do that? Why would you not just hire a professional nurse? You know, an adult? With like a license and all that? And if you're telling me she's not the school nurse, then why was she the person Nagito went to upon being told to go to the nurse? Followed by them both winding up in the nurse's office? Moving on, apparently while Nagito was sitting still, Leon, yeah, remember that name? Just so happened to hit a home run that was going at the perfect speed, for the perfect length of time, at the perfect angle to crash through the window, shatter the glass case inside the room, and cut up Nagito's face some more. How can you be at a baseball game this early in the morning as a student when school is literally about to start? I don't. And she's apologizing for him getting hurt again, despite the fact that she's the one who bandaged him in the first place, while twerking like a Minecraft character. What the fuck is going on? And then he says
that the more bad luck I have, the more good luck that leaves for others.
Motherfucker, your entire purpose as a character is to be lucky. This is a major point in the second game. Did you guys actually play the games before you wrote this? Then Sonya shows up to class, and I guess she bleached her hair between this and the second game. Next, Kazuichi proceeds to completely lose the ability to think for himself as he races to the door to greet her. And while these two are having a lovely chat, Fuyuhiko is trying to convince Nagito to get off his lazy ass and actually do something with his life. All the while, we are forced to stare at this baseball on a table for 10 full seconds of screen time. No, I'm not kidding here. They literally just show this static shot of a baseball on a table while characters talk off screen. This is gonna become a recurring thing, by the way. Then Kazuichi jerks himself off over the fact that Sonya agreed to go on a date with him because she has no standards, and then does the Frank Sawit shake while everyone else quietly says a prayer for Sonya. Kill me. Then Athena Psyche shows up to teach class for the day, and Ibuki prepares to kill everybody with the power of bad music, but then they cut away before we can actually see the carnage. We then skip forward to after school where we see Kazuichi doing something, and then he spin dashes to the other side of the cafe while this sound effect plays. That's literally the sliding sound effect from the Chicken Little video game. You're ripping assets from the fucking Chicken Little video game. Then we see Nagito and Fuyuhiko hiding around the corner like absolute creeps, so I guess we're just kind of waiting for Kazuichi to show up. As it turns out, the reason that he did a Sonic the Hedgehog is because he wants to ditch Sonya. Why didn't you just turn the fuck around if you wanted to ditch her, since that's literally where you had to come from to get to this point? Why did you have to spin dash past the cafe? Oh, is it so you can get to the plot waiting for you on the other side? Okay. Moving on, it turns out that the reason that he wants to ditch Sonya is because she's a princess, and because of that, he thinks she's too good for him. Wait, sorry, that's the wrong clip. Now, I'm not saying I agree with him here. I do, but that's not my point. My question is, why would you ever think that ditching her would be a good idea? Especially when you put her upon a pedestal as tall as the goddamn Empire State Building? If you think that highly of her, why would you want her to feel stood up and abandoned? And why the fuck does her being a princess even matter to you? You two aren't even dating. She agreed to go on a date with you, and now you just want to break that promise? What an asshole. She agreed to go on the date. It doesn't matter that she's a princess, you idiot. Oh, by the way, while these three talk about ditching Sonya, we're forced to watch these two birds fucking around for 11 seconds straight, and it's the most distracting thing in the world because now I care more about the tension between these two birds than I do about Kazuichi's love life.
Let me smash. Please. You want some fuck?
I'm leaving.
What?
Wait, what's happening in the story again? Alright, Kazuichi's being an asshole. Great.
But do you really think I'll ever be the kind of man you are?
He said to the mob boss. Then Nagito decides to butt into this conversation, telling him that unless Kazuichi were to possess some kind of magical arbitrary talent, then he will mean absolutely nothing to Sonya and have no chance at a relationship with her, no matter how much he may love her. Wait, sorry, that's the wrong clip. Fuyuhiko says that talent doesn't matter, to which Nagito says that pride can be considered a talent, which makes no sense at all, but I guess it shouldn't surprise me coming from the guy whose only talent is literally luck. Also, his face is just fully healed now, I guess, so that's cool. Also, what the fuck are they even talking about? Kazuichi is literally a mechanic. He tinkers with machines. He's the reason they are able to fix the elevator in Danganronpa 2 at the request of Nagito, by the way. And now you want to tell me the mechanics aren't talented. Okay then, fuck off, you dumbass show. Nagito tells Kazuichi to just be happy, and this convinces him to not ditch Sonya. We stare at the utility pole for 5 seconds too long, and then Fuyuhiko applauds Nagito for his words of wisdom, and then they... Next, we get a scene where Nagito proceeds to justify the idea that talent shouldn't exist at all. Oh, this should be good. His justification is that if Sonya weren't a princess and were an ordinary girl, then Kazuichi would have had nothing to be worried about. Therefore, talent equals bad. What? By this absurd logic, nobody should be alive at all, because if nobody's alive, nobody has to worry about anything. Dumbass. Who do you think engineered the smartphone we see you using later in this episode? Who do you think concocts the food and beverages that Sonya and Kazuichi are consuming right now? People with talent without whom your life would look very different. Dumbass. Not to mention that a minute and a half ago, you said that pride is a talent. So now you want to erase personality traits in your quest to erase talent from the world. Dumbass. If I had $1 for every time this man said something smart, I'd be completely broke. Then we get this utterly bizarre series of shots where Nagito becomes a maniacal Disney villain cloaked in shadows, as he slowly inches Fuyuhiko closer and closer to the wall, monologuing about his plan to take over the tri-state area. And I couldn't help but laugh as this all went down. How does anyone like this character? We then see a shot of Peiko hiding in the bushes getting ready to fucking kill this man, and all I can think of is just do it. But sadly, Fuyuhiko calls off his attack dog and Nagito lives to fight another day. Then we get a line, and it's...
It's fine, it's who you are.
What? Is this really the standard you want to set, show? That if your friends are being creepy assholes, it's totally cool because that's just who they are? Do you want to try to apply this logic to other things? Yeah, I didn't think so. Call out your friends if they do stupid, creepy, or abusive things. Don't listen to what this dumbass is saying. Now you better brace yourselves for what's about to happen next, folks. Fuyuhiko suggested they go grab drinks to celebrate Kazuichi finally getting the opportunity to fuck up a relationship, and then Nagito slips on a bottle that literally wasn't there 2 seconds ago, and then hilariously rolls down the hill, and crashes into Mikan and Hiyoko, and fucking lands head first up Mikan's skirt. What the fuck? Literally, how did this happen? How did you go from rolling down the hill to shoving your face up her skirt? Walk me through the logistics of how you managed to pull that off. If Nagito had been rolling down at this speed, with gravity helping to keep his momentum going, he would have knocked both girls to the ground, and they probably would have either landed on top of him or behind him as he kept rolling onward past them. And yet somehow, Hiyoko remains upright while Mikan falls onto her back, and Nagito's face ends up in this position despite the fact that Mikan was on the opposite side of where his head was rolling. Who wrote this? I could not contain my laughter for this scene because of how completely insane it was. So then Nagito makes this face after doing this, and I will let this joke write itself. But believe it or not, for as stupid as that scene was, things are about to get a whole lot worse. In a completely tonally balked transition, we jump from Nagito getting a face full of Mikon to some random guy teleporting into the scene with red eyes and a red aura to make sure you know he's evil. No, I didn't edit this clip. This actually happens. Please believe me. This is real. This actually happens in the show. Then a bunch of police officers teleport in from behind him with their guns primed and ready to fire as he explains his evil plan to destroy the world. Then, and I'm not kidding when I say this, he turns around and forms his hand in the shape of a pistol, turns on auto-target mode, and then starts headshotting all the police officers with his finger gun. What? Who wrote this? Who wrote that? Who put that in the script? Hey, remember when they did this in Tales from the Borderlands and it was, like, a joke? Well, they're doing the same thing here, only they're not just pretending to die, they're actually dying. You can see blood spilling out and their bodies tumbling off the building. I'm not even gonna bother trying to dissect the logistics of firing lethal bullets from your fingers just yet because of something that's gonna end up happening later. But something that I can say right now is, why do the other 8 officers keep standing around like dead fish while their teammates are dying all around them? You have guns, please use them. What are you doing? What is happening in this idiotic scene? How did we get here from what just happened? What the fuck is going on? Oh, but we're not done yet, because 2 seconds later, all the bodies disappear like it's a video game and they're being garbage collected. And another wave of about 9 police officers spawn in behind him. So riddle me this. Why didn't they teleport in all the police officers at once? Or if you wanted to keep a backup team, then why did you not just position your troops in a non-moronic way so you could actually surround the person trying to kill you all? Who wrote this dumbassery? Oh, and I hope you weren't excited to see how this scene was going to conclude, because we just cut away from it and jump back to Sonya in her bedroom smiling, gleefully reminiscing about the time she just spent with— oh wait, sorry, that's the wrong clip. What is happening in the show? One commercial break later, Kazuichi fucking dies. No, I'm not kidding. I'm not lying to you. Please believe me here. The show cuts to commercials, comes back, and the first thing you see is a shot of Kazuichi's picture in a frame with somber music and everyone dressed up for the occasion in what is clearly supposed to be a funeral scene. So just to recap, we went from a pep talk to this insanity, to a Matrix-style fight scene without any of the competence, to Aladdin, to Kazuichi being dead? I don't— what is going on? What happened to the script? What is this pacing? How can you jump around between all these scenes if there's a logical through line to it all? Has a scene been cut? Why did we go to commercial break and then 1 second later one of this episode's main characters is already dead? And it's not even like we don't show the actual murder but didn't just cut to discovering his body. We cut to the fucking funeral scene presumably days later. What is this pacing? Who wrote this? So then Fuyuhiko fucks off from the funeral to go avenge Kazuichi, but Nagito tells him not to because it's too dangerous and to—
let the police handle it.
Yeah, because that always ends well. So he rightfully ignores him and continues on his quest, but not before Sonya interjects to make clear that she will accompany Fuyuhiko on his revenge quest, but Fuyuhiko says nah because he's an asshole. And then Sonya stands her ground by persisting to come with him, and he says— alright. Nagito is now sad and depressed that he can't go with them, despite the fact that 2 seconds ago he said he didn't want to go with them, but whatever. The man's literally a walking contradiction anyway. His personality self-nullifies every 3 sentences. We then get a repeat of the opening monologue of the episode, while Fuyuhiko, Peiko, and Sonya prepare for the final boss battle. And I'm sorry, I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that these writers chose to smash cut to Kazuichi's funeral after all this insanity. Like, I swear there must have been a scene that they cut, or maybe they accidentally edited together 2 halves of different episodes, because I have absolutely no idea how anybody could possibly think this was a good decision. But you better hold on tight, because this show is about to completely fly off the rails and explode in a fiery inferno. Then we cut back to Not Neo on the scaffolding, and we see our trio of heroes talking to him from the ground as they have deduced that he was the one who killed Kazuichi. And— wait a minute, what the fuck? How did we get here? How did we get to this point? What happened to Not Neo after we cut away from him? I guess he murdered all those police officers, but did you guys really think it was a good idea to have this character jump from that scene straight to this with no intermission? Despite the fact that he was the one who killed Kazuichi? And that it's presumably been at least a couple days between his death and his funeral? Not Neo would have had to leave this location to murder Kazuichi, so why the hell is he still here? What are you doing? Why would he return to this location specifically? How did he know they would show up here? And what happened to all the cops that they managed to send in? Do they not have anybody else that can teleport into the scene? And how the hell did you 3 know he killed Kazuichi? He wasn't even in this world until earlier today. How do you know him? We barely know him. How did you know he'd be here? What is happening in the script?
You got some balls killing my brother.
What? You don't have a brother. Kazuichi wasn't your brother. You two were in no way related. Unless you meant it in the metaphorical sense as in like the brother I never had, but why the fuck would you address him as such when talking to his murderer? Oh, but wait, it gets worse. Not Neo teleports down from the scaffolding and Peiko hilariously sticks her arm out as if that would protect Fuyuhiko from this indestructible creature, and then he asks,
So who the hell are you?
you don't even know who he is? Then how the fuck do you know he killed Kazuichi? How did you know to find him here? Who wrote this? And so it is at last revealed that not Neo is called the World Destroyer. No, I'm not kidding, that's his name, but considering this is Danganronpa, I'm really not surprised at how on the nose it is. So then they ask why he had to kill Kazuichi, and he says that
any of his friends would have sufficed.
And it takes approximately 0 brain cells to figure out who he's talking about. But we're gonna save a dissection of his brain-dead plan for just a little bit later. Fuyuhiko appropriately says fuck this and pulls out his pistol to kill him, but then Sonya pulls a fucking rocket launcher out of her ass and mercilessly fires it at the World Destroyer. No, I'm not kidding, I'm not lying, this actually happens in the show, please believe me here. She whips a rocket launcher out of thin fucking air and without hesitation pulls the trigger to launch a rocket at this man. What do you think is gonna happen if you're actually successful in blowing him up? In terms of being caught and sent to prison, you can't possibly cover this up. You just lit a rocket. Rockets explode! And come to think of it, where the hell did Sonya even get a rocket launcher from? And you may think we're going to get to see what happens after she shoots a rocket at this man, but nope! We smash cut back to Nagito feeling the big sad in his room as he gets a call from Peiko and it turns out she's nowhere near the scene of the crime! What is happening in the show? How the fuck can you show this? Cut away, not show us the aftermath, and then just cut to Peiko waddling her way down some alley with her arm covered in blood. She basically tells Nagito, you're gonna die, bitch, because the World Destroyer was coming for him, and then she says that Fuyuhiko is dead? How the fuck did that happen? How did Sonya shooting this man with a rocket launcher lead to Fuyuhiko dying when 10 minutes ago Peiko was ready to fucking kill Nagito just for invading his personal space? Do you really expect me to believe Peiko would have ever let this happen given what we know about their relationship from the second game? How did just her left arm get covered in blood while the rest of her was completely spotless when she was standing on this side of Fuyuhiko? How the hell did Peiko get away in time if the World Destroyer was out for blood? If he uses stupid finger guns, then why wouldn't he have just shot all 3 of them to leave no witnesses? And why would you not just show us what happened? Why do you keep smash cutting away from pivotal events in this story? What is this editing? Who wrote this script? So then the World Destroyer turns back up again, and right when you think we're about to get a cool action scene, he effortlessly sidesteps Peiko's attack and immediately shoots her with his finger gun. Why would he not have done this in the last scene if he planned on killing her anyway? She couldn't possibly have outrun him, so why did he wait until now to kill her and not just shoot her while she was fleeing the scene? He then picks up the phone that Peiko apparently didn't think to hang up before she prepared to fight and tells Nagito that he is going to destroy his world one bit at a time until it's all gone, leading to him getting pissed off and throwing his phone onto his bed. The World Destroyer hangs up and then sends Nagito something that tells him the location of Fuyuhiko and Sonya, who are both dead on the ground. I guess he either dodged the rocket launcher or is immune to rockets exploding on top of him, but we'll never know because they never showed us the battle. So now we know that he shot both of them in the head with his finger gun and then let Peiko run away. Why the fuck would he do that? How does that benefit him? I can't, what is going on? Who wrote this script? So Nagito mourns the loss of his friends, then walks through the final boss to meet up with the World Destroyer. Then we get another monologue about how Nagito is such a worthless nobody who has absolutely no luck whatsoever, and to prove this, he throws 2 balls trying to hit the World Destroyer, but they both just come back to him instead. He manages to catch one, but then not catch the other. World Destroyer tells him that he's feeling something called hope, which is apparently a foreign concept to Nagito.
Strange word.
Who wrote this? But wait, we're not done yet! Stay with me here, people. I'm gonna run through this all in one go, and then we'll talk about it. Please try to follow me on this, because the show is about to go absolutely insane. So Nagito's ingenious plan to defeat the World Destroyer is to throw a baseball at the building's scaffolding, which will then cause the whole building to collapse because he's just so goddamn unlucky. And then he shoots the wall, the bullet fucking bounces off of the wall and flies back to blow his brains out. And then, the entire fucking building collapses. No, I'm not lying. Please believe me. I'm telling the truth here. This actually fucking happens in the show. Wow. Okay, let's take it from the top. 1. Did you fuckers play the games? Nagito is supposed to be the ultimate lucky student, not the ultimate unlucky student. That's literally the entire reason Chapter 5 works out at all, is because he's lucky. And if you're gonna tell me, dude, are you kidding me? His plan worked. Of course it's Nagito getting lucky. In that case, how do you explain the rest of this piss-poor spaghetti narrative in which the worst possible things keep happening to him? And if you're gonna argue that the relative luck of each of these events is up for debate, then all I have to say is thank you for perfectly highlighting the problem with centering the conflict, climax, resolution, etc. on nothing but luck and luck alone, on random chance. 2. Really, guys? Again? You wrote another story where the climax is defined by Nagito relying on chance for his plan to work. Really? You did that again? Especially when said chance causes every single screw keeping this building together to magically unscrew itself? How shitty were these construction workers that literally throwing a baseball at it will cause the whole building to collapse? Did anyone on this team have a brain? 3. This isn't how anything works. Are you aware that gravity and air resistance are things that exist? Even if we accept the idea that the bullet would be able to travel this distance at this speed and it wouldn't have completely lost its energy, even if we accept the idea that it would still be fully intact even after the first impact with the wall, there is absolutely no way it would ever ricochet upward and towards his head without gravity and air resistance interfering. Also, why did you bother to do this at all if your goal was to shoot yourself? Is it because you wanted to call back to that game of Russian roulette from the second game? Because if so, then thank you, show. Because you've now given me the perfect example that I can use for the rest of my life of an instance where writers want to have some kind of callback or payoff but don't give one singular shit if it makes any sense or not. There are some really cool payoffs and callbacks in a lot of expertly written stories, but you gotta fucking earn it. You don't just do what this show does and throw your hands up to say, I don't know, he got unlucky, I guess. Finally, and most importantly, do you fucking understand what you just did, you absolute moron? Do you need me to explain to you the amount of damage a building collapsing can do to not just the people inside the building, but the people in the city surrounding it? Nagito, you are the reason the gene pool needs a lifeguard. Do you fuckers think about anything in your lives? And what the hell was it all for? Why did you think that crushing him with a building was going to do anything when he survived a rocket launcher to the face and can teleport around freely on a whim? Who wrote this scene? What happened to the script? Big shocker, the World Destroyer is still alive. This is my surprised face. But you want to know what actually did surprise me? 2 seconds after Nagito dooms this portion of the city and shooting himself in the head, he fucking gets right back up again like nothing happened! At this point, my brain was officially ready to give up on everything because nothing was making any goddamn sense and the writers had clearly given up on their story. But it was at this moment that the truth behind this world was revealed. And this script is about to blitz through a whole lot of bombshells that the writers just want you to go along with and accept without a care in the world. So I'm just gonna run you through the rest of the episode and then we'll dissect it all. The World Destroyer explains to Nagito that this whole episode was just a simulation inside of the Neo World program. Again. He is an alter ego of Izuru Kamakura designed to perform psycho dives. They were able to restore Nagito's personality after he died in the second game, but doing so caused psychological instabilities that needed to be eliminated. The classmates were a fragment of his psyche that were defense mechanisms. The world was a reflection of Nagito's true desires. But as if all that wasn't enough, we have one more scene to watch. Nagito wakes up from the simulation with a shot that actually pretty nicely mirrors the beginning of the second game. But don't get used to that feeling of nostalgia because the logic's about to break it again. So it turns out that Nagito wasn't the only one who underwent this data restoration process. Literally every single character that was killed off in the second game, every single character that had an emotional death scene or brutal execution, they're all alive. They've all been revived. Which makes all of the emotional value it tried to elicit completely fucking meaningless. It all just gets thrown completely out the window because fuck you, that's why. Go fuck yourselves, you piece of shit writers. Then they all get on the boat to go back home, and it's revealed that Nagito swapped out his Junko arm for a Winter Soldier arm, which is admittedly a pretty nice way to signify that he's now on the good guys team. Except that considering his constantly contradicting character traits, I really don't know how seriously I can take this. And then the episode finally fucking ends. Holy fuck, that was awful. What drunk giraffe wrote this cobbled mess of a script and crapped it out onto my screen? How does any of this follow logically? None of this makes any sense. So, Nagito's true desires were all embodied by the events which took place in this episode. Okay then. Let's put aside the fact that they just reused the same twist from the second game. This doesn't answer any questions. Who were these people that were trying to kill Izuru? If this program was mandated by Hajime, then who sent the police to stop him? And why would they have sent them into the simulation instead of just unplugging the fucking computer or killing the program or anything else? And if it wasn't someone else and Hajime put the cops in himself, then why did he do that? Why would you give your alter ego more work to do when the entire point of this mission is to reset Nagito? Why did you create a simulation where events happen outside of the FOV of Nagito? Why waste the resources on that? If this is Nagito's simulation, then the only things that matter are the things that directly impact him. And yet you still wrote the code required to maintain a functioning world that goes on outside his bubble of existence? Why would you ever do that? And why did Hajime make his alter ego into the ultimate despair side of his personality? Why wouldn't he just go in as himself? Wouldn't it make his job much easier if he appeared friendly to the characters instead of actively trying to piss them off? On that note, how did Nagito get his personality back? Is it because he killed himself? The idea that through dying it killed off the personality that he was clinging on to after being revived the first time? Because if that's the case, then holy hell does that break this story even more, because if all that was required for Nagito to revert back was for him to die and thus allow Hajime to reinsert his personality, then why wasn't his mission to fucking kill Nagito? Why did you diddle around with Kazuichi, Fujiko, Sonyo, and Peiko when you could have just teleported into this scene, shot Nagito with your stupid finger gun, and gotten it over with? Did you seriously think that saying, "It's all a simulation, woo," was going to explain away the nonsense? It didn't work before in the second game, and it sure as hell ain't gonna work here. Why was Nagito unlucky in this episode? Being lucky isn't a personality tortured, so you can't justify this with a mind swap thing they do. Why did Sayaka act like she'd never seen Makoto in her life before? And did she really have feelings for him? Because I don't know if you guys actually played the first game, but she kinda had a plan to frame Makoto for murder. Now, I may be about to blow your mind here, but typically if you love someone, you aren't too keen on framing them for a capital crime that will ultimately lead to their execution. And no, I don't care about the whole she wrote Leon's name thing, because that doesn't change the fact that she was going to frame him for murder. Why is Mikan the school nurse? They tell Nagito to go see the school nurse, and then one scene later he's in the nurse's office being attended to by Mikan. Why would any competent school let one of their students serve as the nurse? And if I'm wrong and she's not the school nurse, then why is Mikan even allowed to use the nurse's equipment to fix Nagito? Why would he not just go to the school nurse? Either way, this makes no sense. And once again, you can't just chalk this up to the Neo World program by saying, oh, well, Hajime just programmed all the friends to fill the roles. Kind of like a cartoon spoof episode where recurring characters fill established roles for the fun of it, only this time they want you to actually take it seriously. Why can't you chalk it up to this? Because we've never seen this character before, and yet she still shows up in the simulation, so clearly Hajime had no problem pooling from school employees to fill up his little Neo World program. How the fuck was Leon in the middle of a baseball game at like 8 o'clock in the morning when school was minutes away from starting? Why was Leon the only other character from the first game aside from Makoto and Sayaka? And why are Leon and Sayaka here at all? How did you recreate them? They were never in the simulation. What data did you use to create them? Who decided to make Mikan twerk? What was with all the static background shots while important conversations happened in the background?
Let me smash.
Why didn't Kazuichi just fucking turn around and go home instead of spin dashing his way into the rest of the plot? Why do characters pretend like mechanics aren't talented individuals? Literally, what is this scene? Regardless of who sent these cops here, why are they all brainless in their positioning and tactics? Why do they all just stand around like Muppets without puppeteers waiting to get shot like an enemy in a Call of Duty game? Why did you fucking give yourself a finger gun, Hajime? I don't even know why you needed to go into the simulation at all to save Nagito, but if you did, then why did you need a finger gun? Why is the pacing so boxed that we just jump around between tonally polar opposite scenes and gloss right over pivotal events during the commercial break so we can have the surprise reveal that Kazuichi's dead? Speaking of which, how the fuck did this team of idiots figure out who killed Kazuichi? If you're gonna tell me the simulation told them, then why didn't the simulation just tell them to lure Nagito to the building? Or better yet, just kill Nagito yourself? Why does Fuyuhiko call Kazuichi his brother? How did they know he would be at this location? The fuck is with the rocket launcher? Why did the World Destroyer let Peiko live? Why did you forget how bullets work? Why did Nagito think that collapsing a fucking building was a good idea, let alone that it would be enough to murder the man who survived a rocket launcher to the face? And why in the world did you decide to completely invalidate the deaths of the second game? Do you know what that makes you on par with? Halo 5 Guardians' story. Halo 4 gave Cortana a heart-wrenchingly emotional death scene, when you have to watch your combat partner from the original trilogy with whom you've been to the far reaches of the universe and to hell and back die of rampancy. This scene generated the biggest, most saddening emotional reaction out of anything else in the series, and then Halo 5 came along and pulled an Uno reverse card to not only revive her, but make her the villain of the game. You are on par with Halo 5's story. That is not something you want to be on par with, you wobbly penguins. I swear to God, this had better not be an indication of what's in store for me when I watch Danganronpa 3, because I might actually walk into the ocean if it is. Well, this was unexpected. I genuinely had no plans to cover this episode in any capacity on the channel, but then I actually watched it and I could feel my brain rotting the longer it went on, so I just wanted to make a quick rant video venting my frustrations with the dumbassery that is this script. If you like my commentary style and you want to see me analyze things that are actually of quality with a much calmer professional attitude, then feel free to check out my other video essays. This is how I typically like to present my work as opposed to the more rage-induced nature of this video, so you can expect to see more of that type of content in the future. Or if you're new around here and you want to see more Danganronpa content, you can check out my blind LPs of the first 2 games in the series. Additionally, an Ultra Despair Girls playthrough is also on the way, and I also plan to cover Danganronpa V3 at some point after I finish watching Danganronpa 3. Which, by the way, if that show ends up being terrible, rest assured, a rant video covering that show in the same style as this video won't be far behind. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I hope to see you all soon for whatever video you decide to watch next. Goodbye.